All right, let's dive right in. Today, we're unpacking the big ideas from Harv Eker's work on what he calls the 17 wealth files. Now, these aren't just little tips and tricks. Think of them more like a complete operating system for your brain, designed to completely rewire your relationship with money from the inside out.
But let me start with a question for you. Is it possible that your own mind is subconsciously wired to actually block wealth? It's a pretty intense thought, right? But the core idea here is that so many of us are being held back by these hidden beliefs about money that we don't even know we have.
You see, this work argues that our financial life is run by a kind of hidden script. It's called our financial blueprint. The best way to think about it is like a thermostat in a room. If that thermostat is set to 72 degrees, it doesn't matter what's happening outside, the room is going to stay at 72. Your financial blueprint works the exact same way. So what is this blueprint exactly? Well, it's your default program when it comes to money. It's made up of all the things you heard, the things you saw, and the things you experienced with money, especially when you were a kid. And here's the kicker. This blueprint is running your financial life most of the time without you even realizing it. The whole point of these wealth files is to grab the controls and set that thermostat yourself.
So how do we actually do that? How do we get conscious control? We're going to break it down into 3 parts. And first up is what we'll call mastering your inner game. This is all about those foundational beliefs you have deep down about yourself, about what you're capable of, and about how the world really works.
The very first and maybe the most important shift is all about responsibility. The rich mindset is about taking total ownership. It's the belief that you are in the driver's seat of your life, period. The opposite of that, well, that's the victim mindset. Blaming the economy, blaming your boss, blaming anything and everything. Taking ownership is the first step because you can't change what you don't own. Now, here's a secret. The goal isn't to have a life with no problems. That's impossible. The goal is to grow yourself so that you become bigger than any problem you could ever face. People with a wealthy mindset see challenges as opportunities to level up, to get stronger, to get smarter. They don't run from problems. They run towards them.
This quote right here just cuts straight to the heart of it. Think about it. If you see someone who's successful and your first feeling is resentment or jealousy, you're literally sending a message to your subconscious that being wealthy is a bad thing. The massive shift here is to start admiring and blessing what you want. See other people's success as proof that it's possible for you too.
And let's be totally clear about this. Rich and successful people feel fear. They feel doubt. They feel worry. They feel all the same things as everyone else. The only difference, and it's a huge one, is they don't let those feelings stop them. They feel the fear and they do it anyway. For most people, fear is a stop sign. For the successful, it's just a passenger that's along for the ride.
So, the inner game boils down to action. It means you commit to being a lifelong learner because what you know is your greatest asset. It means you understand that you are the average of the people you spend time with, so you choose to surround yourself with positive, successful people. And maybe the trickiest one, it means you have to learn to be an excellent receiver, to be able to take a compliment, a gift, or money with a simple and gracious thank you, feeling like you deserve it.
Okay, so we've got the internal mindset covered. Now let's move on to part 2, winning the outer game. This is where belief gets translated into strategic actions and real-world results.
Think about this in terms of sports. Are you playing offense or defense? When you play not to lose, your main goal is just survival. It's about having enough to pay the bills. It's a defensive game. But when you play to win, your goal is totally different. It's about creating massive wealth and abundance. That's an offensive strategy, and it leads to much bigger thinking and much bolder actions.
And that connects perfectly to this idea of thinking big. There's a concept called the law of income, which basically says you will be paid in direct proportion to the value you deliver to the marketplace. So, you want to dramatically increase your income? You got to stop thinking incrementally. Find a way to deliver 10 times the value or serve 10 times the people. You've got to think at scale.
Here's a good gut check. What does your brain naturally scan for? Is it always looking for what could go wrong? Asking, what if it doesn't work? That's a mind focused on obstacles, and it almost always leads to doing nothing. The wealthy mindset, on the other hand, scans for potential. It sees opportunities where everyone else just sees risk. It's constantly asking, how can we make this work? This is a huge one. It's about breaking that traditional link between your time and your money. Sure, a steady paycheck feels safe, but it puts a hard ceiling on how much you can earn. There are only so many hours in a day, right? The wealthy mindset prefers to get paid for results, things like commissions, profit sharing, or owning a piece of the business. That's how you uncap your earning potential. Which brings us to the final piece of the puzzle. We've talked about the mindset, we've talked about the actions. Now let's get into part 3, building your wealth system. This is all about the practical, real-world habits you need to manage and grow your money effectively. Okay, check this out. It's such a key distinction. Our society is obsessed with one question: how much do you make? That's working income. But that's completely the wrong question. True financial well-being is measured by your net worth. That's what you own minus what you owe. You can see here how someone with a huge income can still be broke if they have no net worth. The focus has to shift from income to net worth. This is that classic scarcity versus abundance thinking. The either-or mindset is rooted in lack. It tells you that you have to choose. You can have a great career or a great family life. You can be rich or be a good person. The wealthy mindset just completely rejects those false choices. It asks a much more creative and powerful question: how can I have both? And that opens up a whole new world of possibilities.
And this really is the ultimate goal of the entire financial game: freedom. The poor mindset is based on the idea that you have to trade your time for money for the rest of your life. The rich mindset says, I'm going to work really hard now, but the goal is to create passive income streams. That's money that flows in from investments and businesses even when you're sleeping. That's when your money finally starts working for you instead of the other way around.
So how do you actually do that? Well, here's a super practical system. The 6 jars system is all about building the habit of managing your money well. The idea is that every single dollar that comes in gets a job. Now, you can tweak the percentages, but the principle is what matters. You must have a system. And notice there's a jar for play and one for give. It proves that you don't have to choose between being financially responsible and actually enjoying your life.
So let's wrap all of this up. We've walked through the inner game of mindset, the outer game of action, and the systems for management. The final step is all about consciously and deliberately installing these new ways of thinking until they become your new normal, your automatic default setting. Look, the key here is not to get overwhelmed. You don't need to master all 17 of these files by tomorrow. Just pick 2 or 3, the ones that really jumped out at you, the ones where you kind of thought, oof, that's me. Then, for each one, create one simple little weekly habit that you can actually track. It's those small, consistent actions that create massive change over time. And that leaves us with one final question to think about. Forget about all 17 for just a second. What is the one belief, the single mindset shift we talked about today that you will consciously choose to adopt starting right now? Because that decision, right there, that's where all the real work truly begins.